Welcome to our unintentional part 2 of The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Join us as villains are revealed, friends are vindicated, tube socks are worn, and sexy times are had by many. Rachel muses about the Dutch language, and Allison finds an ally in her fight against people trying to get her to try new food groups. Enjoy the show!
So Olive tells Adam about how she has to give a talk and she's nervous. And then he unprompted launches into the story about his advisor. And she's thinking she was like, wow, part of her wondered at Adam self-disclosing something without being asked a direct question. And that is how I feel about our brother a lot of the time. Whenever he unprompted tells me something about his life, I'm like, wow, amazing. Bonding.
What a treat.
Yeah.
What a fun surprise.
The cat can have a little salon.
Yeah, so Adam talks about his shitty advisor. I mean, we kind of learn the full extent of it later on, but basically his advisor was very emotionally, mentally, verbally abusive. He was always telling Adam what a piece of shit he was, he was a horrible scientist.
But Olive's talking about being nervous, and Adam is like, oh, well, one time my advisor told me 2 days before that I had to give a talk, and he didn't give me any slides, anything else, and nothing but the title. And then afterwards, once I pulled it together and did it, he told me it was shit. Basically.
That it wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
So basically he was just really horrible, and Olive not really fully realizing how traumatic grad school was for Adam and his experience with his advisor starts being dude, that sounds exactly like you. You're also a dick to your students. And Adam gets very triggered by that. And Olive immediately is oh, I'm sorry. You're not a dick.
Well, okay, a few things here. So Adam getting mad at this point, I was Adam getting mad compared to his brutal, quote unquote brutal old mentor. I was this is exactly you. And I guess he's
he doesn't get mad, he just shuts down. It's really
sure.
He's oh fuck, that's really hurtful.
Quote, his eyes were darker than usual, which I wrote that down. I was what is that? Because usually that's said when someone's aroused, not angry. I guess it just means your pupils are dilating.
And that does happen to Adam when he's
your
aroused.
Pupils are dilating. Yeah. Another thing that this is a theory I had reading this the first time. So she asked him something about his advisor, and he responds, and she was it was such a carefully worded answer. And he was but then again, nothing was ever good enough for him. At this point, I was is Adam's advisor his dad? Is it going to be some sort? It just seemed such a personal. And then we find out that Tom, who was a postdoc when Adam was a graduate student in the same lab, Tom took over Adam's advisor's lab.
Tom was a favorite, and Tom always quote unquote interceded on Adam's behalf.
And back when I had the theory that the advisor was going to be Adam's dad, I was is this going to be related to why Holden thinks Tom is a snake? Did Tom steal Adam's birthright or something?
Yeah. I also, though, I did I was Tom took over the shitty man's lab, red flag again. The fact that he was a favorite, that's just a huge glaring red flag.
For
I just feel if anyone who's an asshole really, really likes you, there's something going on there.
Yeah.
There's something going on there.
So Adam's oh, send me your slides and I'll look over them. And he also is so he's still trying to get her to stay with him. And she's Adam, we can't stay. We can't share a hotel room because there will be only one bed for sure. And he's but the booking confirmation says there'll be two beds. And she's it's always one bed. It's always one bed. And he's what are you talking about? And she just gives up. And she's okay, fine.
She's I can't. She also at one point, I wrote this down. I don't know at all the context of it, but at some point during this conversation, she's do you like me? I think do you even like me?
I know the context because okay, she tells him that all of his students hate him. She reinforces that, and he's well, I don't really like them either. They're annoying. And he's but then again, most people are annoying. And she's well, do you like me?
And he says he's no, in a smart ass way.
He calls her a smart ass.
Yeah, he calls her smartass a lot.
They both call each other asses.
Yeah. I'm he's technically not lying because he doesn't just like her. He's in love with her.
Yes.
So they arrive at the hotel.
And I was
very fucking rude. There are two beds.
Two beds.
I was so disappointed.
I was there better be they better be getting bed bugs or having a fire alarm mishap that like forces them to switch rooms. This was just like very rude.
I was so disappointed in the fact that there was only one bed.
So Olive arrives first, and she puts on her or, like when Adam's not in the room, and she puts on her like professional outfit, which is like a dress that she bought for like grad school interviews that has like shrunk in the wash apparently, so it's like shorter than she expected, and she's wearing heels.
Yeah. So she's wearing like a hot, sexy black dress. And I was like, this is like, again, like similar to the hating game where like you have the
Yeah.
heroine like dress up in this like what is presented as a work appropriate outfit that like his only purpose is to like arouse and attract the
Yes.
hero and is definitely not work appropriate.
Adam walks in, and we just get his like mouth drop. Like he just like walks in and is like
404 error.
yeah, it's like stuttering, like speechless.
And then he's like, oh, well, you should eat something before your presentation. And he hands her a protein bar that he like pulls out of his bag. And later when she eats it, she's like, the protein bar is chocolate.
Yeah.
Which means, listener, if you remember what we said about Adam not liking chocolate, it means that he brought it for her.
He did a whole ass Costco run just for her. Also, Adam was supposed to come to her presentation like he had previously agreed. However, we find out that she's like, oh, at least a lot of people won't be there because it partially overlaps with the keynote address. And then he's like, she sees his like name tag and it's like Adam Carlson, keynote speaker. And she's like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't like see, have my head up my ass so much I didn't see that on the program. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, like, I can't come. So he's not going to be there.
Which is a little bit disappointing.
No, but it's necessary. It's necessary.
It's necessary, but I would have loved, so just like to briefly skip 5 minutes ahead, Tom takes off his mask, like his Scooby-Doo mask, and is like fully a villain in this next scene. And I just like, I understand why Adam couldn't be there for it, but I really wish he had been, because I just have this perfectly clear vision of like Adam picking up Tom like a WWE wrestler and like spinning him around in his arms and like tossing him off the stage and then like jumping off the stage with his like pile driver and like like I really
God.
have that.
I mean, that still could have happened.
Vision.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's not a stage for him to be thrown off of. So it's like you need the setting.
So Olive shows up and Adam's not there, but Tom is there. And he's like, oh, we're on the same panel. How delicious. And she's like, okay. Like, once again, I cannot be bothered to read the program. I have no idea who else is on this panel.
Yeah.
However, she gives her talk and it's awesome. And she sees like a bunch of other like, you know, high up cancer researchers taking notes and like paying attention. And her friends Ann and Malcolm are there. And obviously they're paying attention and it goes great. And she like practiced so much and she even like makes a little joke.
And it's also been set up. Olive is recording this talk.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
this
important.
Is something that has been set up. Like, this is something that I really liked because it's set up very, very early. It like as soon as we find out she's going to give this talk, she's like, "Oh, Dr. Aishikul can't come." So
Aslan, Dr. Aslan, if you're going to refer to her like that, you have to say the full name or just Aslan.
Dr. Aishikul Aslan can't come, and she is like, oh, you have to record the talk for me. And like that's like sprinkled in kind of like from the time we find out Olive's gonna give the presentation until now. So it's very well set up. Like this, the fact that Olive is recording this is very important plot wise, and feels like very natural. Like I like, because sometimes it's like that concept is like the oh, she has to record, it's introduced like the scene before, and then it just sort of like feels like it's thrown in as a plot device. But it feels like very much I'm like, yeah, of course she's recording it for her advisor.
So dummy Tom does the same talk that he did at Stanford because he doesn't have a creative protein in his brain, whatever, neuron in his brain. But Olive's talk was great, and she comes off the stage, her friends are congratulating her, they're like, let's go party, and she's like, okay, I just have to go like drop off my USB stick and all my stuff in my hotel room. So they leave her, and she's just like she's just like this putzing around putting her papers away, and she looks up and suddenly the room is empty except for Tom. And Tom is
standing there like a fucking creep. Like, she's like, in her head, creepy. She's like, it's clear he's been staring at me for a long time. And he's like, did you wear that dress?
He starts out being like, I can't wait to work with you next year. I'm sure we'll both get a lot out of it. And she's like, it seems like I'll get a lot more out of it than you, but like, okay. And then he's like,
Yeah, her spidey senses are tingling, but she
right.
like is like, no, like I'm uncomfy, but like it's fine. Like this is Adam's friend.
God. And then it just gets so much more serious. I mean, I feel like you frequently will say in books, like, oh, yeah, it was like so lighthearted until like something really serious happened. And usually I'm like, meh, didn't really like viscerally hit me. But this, I was like, oh my God, like this is like,
Yeah.
it really
The
just got so much
brakes
more
just
serious.
screech. Yeah.
Yeah. Or more like the opposite. Like it's like rock and roller coaster, 0 to 60 in 2.5. Like,
Yeah.
because yeah, he's like, did you wear that dress just for me? And she's like, what are you talking about? And he like comes up to her and grabs her and like kisses her.
He like
And
sexually assaults her. Yeah.
yes,
He
full
fully assaults
on.
her.
Yes. And she pulls away and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, I know you slept with you. I know, like a smart girl like you figured out that to get ahead in this field, you have to sleep with the like powerful people. You fucked Tom. You're going to fuck me too.
You fucked Adam.
Adam, you're going to fuck
Yeah.
me
And
too.
he's like, the only reason you're here is because you're Adam Carlson's girlfriend. And
did you think
like,
your research was good?
you're an idiot. Like, you can't even give a presentation without stuttering. Like, your research is dumb.
Yeah.
Just fully like tears her down and like points at like both sexually harasses her and like points at like all of her insecurities.
Yes. And she's like, why are you doing this? And he's like, well, it's good to like one up Adam every once in a while. And she's also like, well, I'm definitely not fucking coming to Harvard. And he's like, basically threatens to, he's like, well, good thing, like, I don't need you anymore because you sent me that lovely report. So I can just publish that. Maybe I'll give you an acknowledgement.
Yeah. So yeah, he threatens to plagiarize her research. And then she's like, I'm going to tell Adam. And he's like, who do you think he's going to believe? Like you, some random bitch he's fucking, or like me, his best friend. And Olive is like, she's like, on one hand in her head, she's like, I want to tell Adam, but like, I'm also scared. I don't want to find out like whether he would believe me or not. But then she's also like, what if he does believe me? And then I like have ruined this like friendship / research project with Tom.
Right. And she also thinks that this grant that they have together is like really important for Adam, which like turns out not to be true. But like at this point, she's like thinking this is critical for Adam's career. And also I'm sitting there thinking like, what possible reason would from Adam's perspective, what possible reason would Olive have to lie about this? But I guess like Tom, I guess I immediately thought of like, I guess he could say like, oh, I changed my mind and she's just like bitter and got angry and like made up lies about me or something.
Yeah. It's so like, and like I was like, I don't know. Like I get like you brought it like the grant money thing, the fact that she doesn't want to ruin the grant, like I do see as like that's why she's protecting Adam. But there's also an element of her being like, I don't want to ruin this friendship. And I'm like, if I found out like one of my friends was a fucking sexual predator, like I would like if someone found that out and then like didn't tell me and like let me continue like being friends with this person, I would be like, what the fuck? Like I don't want to be friends with someone like that. Like you should tell me that.
But I can also understand like illogical as it may be, like she's still probably going to be thinking like, well, he's always going to like, you know, somewhat like blame me for like, you know, quote unquote ruining this friendship, even though like obviously Tom ruined it, but like she was the vehicle for shoot the messenger.
I mean,
like,
I get it. It's the same. I like it's, you know, I'm not gonna victim blame Olive for like not feeling comfortable disclosing like her harassment and assault to Adam. Like that's totally fair.
Yeah. So she goes back to the hotel room and she's like bawling her eyes out when Adam walks in. And
he,
I have the quote here.
He is ready to fuck shit up.
It is very much,
and I love it.
It is very much a like stroke or cheek stroke. Who hurt you? Are you lost, baby girl?
Yeah, it's the classic like he picks her up by the chin and he's like, who hurt you, with fire in his eyes. He's like ready to like physically beat up whoever.
The quote is something underneath his tone, something pressing, something that hinted at violence and rage and broken bones.
Yes. Yes. And I love it. And it's such a good teaser for what eventually does happen in the finale. Just like, I love a man who is ready to fuck shit up for his lady. I love it.
So he does that and she makes up a story. She's like, oh, I overheard people talking about me like after the conference, after my talk. And they said that like they said like mean stuff. They said the only reason I was at this conference giving a talk was because I was dating you. And they said my research was garbage. And she basically like says like at least half the stuff that Tom says, except like not ascribing it to Tom, ascribing it to like a stranger. And he's like, who was it? Like, tell me what were their name badges? And she's like, oh, I didn't see.
He's like already like putting bullets into his block. And he's like, who was it?
Yes. And she's like, no, like I just need to let it go. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to cheer you up with a night on the town. And she's like, don't you need to like go out and network? And he's like, you're the keynote speaker. And he's like, well, I keynote spoke. So
yeah, so he takes her out to food and drinks, and they go to a conveyor belt sushi restaurant, which is wonderful, and I love it.
yeah. And he's like, he's naturally averse to it, which like, I don't know.
Fair.
He's just, you know, he basically just hates like everything delicious and fun about food. Is there any reason to believe that a conveyor belt sushi place would be like less healthy and more sugary than other sushi? No.
It's not that it's less healthy, is that he's like, she's like, oh, let me eat this like tuna roll. And he is like, are you sure it's tuna? Like, are you sure? Like, that's what he's worried about, which like I get. Like, I feel like conveyor belt sushi place like is like only like a few steps above gas station sushi.
It's probably healthier if it's not tuna, right? You're just getting a lower dose of mercury than you otherwise would be. Like,
I'm not talking about health. I'm just talking about
exactly.
Like,
he just hates everything that's fun and delicious. He hates
it's wonderful,
things, but he still will do them with Olive.
They go back to the room. Yeah, he'll do anything because
they have a few drinks
because he's just so gone for her. But they go back to the room, and as they're walking down the hallway, she takes off her heels because she has a blister, and he is just like, not today, sweetheart. And he picks her up and carries her to the room just because she has a blister on her foot. He's like, absolutely not. Like, and she has a thought where
no athlete's foot today.
Yeah, she has a thought where she like is like, I feel very safe with him. Like, I feel very safe with Adam.
And then we get another example of Olive inexplicably just forgetting her phone. And she's like, oh, my phone was here the whole time and the battery's almost dead. Probably because I forgot to turn off that recording after my talk. And then I was like, OMG, like Tom's about to get owned. She has a recording. But then at the same time, I was like, she shouldn't need a recording for Adam to believe her, but it's definitely going to help in terms of like a disciplinary complaint. So like no complaints.
Yes.
There for
yeah.
me.
Because on one hand, I was like, oh, I kind of wish that Adam had been given the opportunity to believe her without like proof. But on the other hand, like I am like, you know what? It feels like even infinitely more satisfying, like not just to have like the villain be taken down by the hero, but like also like be able to take down the villain, like really just like destroy the villain's career and like fully like take him down and make sure that he can't hurt
have himself he took himself down. Like,
yeah. I'm not saying like I'm saying
taking
like
down.
Oh, she ruined his life.
No,
like
he
ruined
that's not what
his
I'm
own
saying.
life.
No, I'm saying he's taken down by like his own words. Like it's direct.
Yeah, like it's nice. Like she has this proof, this like undeniable proof. Like he said this. But she doesn't realize that at the time. She doesn't realize that like that means what that means, that she hasn't stopped the recording.
So she's like, let's watch a movie, like anything that doesn't have a dead horse in it, which I guess is like The Godfather, like doesn't have horses dying. And he's like, okay. And she's
all
like,
of the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah, true. Okay,
like en masse. Dead
true.
Horses.
So she's like, oh, I'm gonna take a shower, and then she's like, shit, I forgot my pajamas. And he's like, oh, I have a t-shirt that I slept in last night that you could wear. And she's like, what will you sleep in? And he's like, nothing. But then he's like, which would be very much like Black Swan Dragon, just like balls to the wall, just strip and like, sleep in the room with a stranger, whatever. But no, he has a t-shirt and boxers. But he gives her his t-shirt. And it's really large.
As we all know, there is nothing more attractive to a man than a girl in his t-shirt.
Yeah, especially if it's knee length and says biology ninja. And he's like, oh, that was a present. And I'm like, a present from who? Like, why is this mentioned and we don't get the details?
Probably Holden. Frankly.
True. Yeah.
It was like almost certainly Holden that got him the t-shirt.
So she puts on the shirt and we get the same fish mouth face, like Fishgate face, as when he came in and saw her in her like business casual hot dress. He's just like mouth drop when he sees her in his t-shirt. And also she like showers and she's like, oh yeah, I used his like shampoo, which is like fancy, hypoallergenic and pH balanced, which like, I don't know, I'm sorry. If Adam isn't secure enough to admit that he has a favorite color and that pumpkin spice latte is not devil spawn, he's not the type of man that has pH balanced shampoo. I'm sorry.
No, first of all, he cares about his skin health. Second of all,
he wasn't already wearing sunscreen.
Listen to me. I was ready to give him mad props for not having 3-in-1 shampoo and conditioner and body wash.
But like,
I was like, oh, nice.
It would be very on brand for him to have it. Honestly,
no, I disagree. He
wasn't already wearing sunscreen at the picnic. Unless he just lied and wanted Olive to rub him down. So
Yeah,
just
of
like double
course. Like
layer.
you
Yeah.
see like this girl that you've been in love with for several years, like is like, let me rub suntan lotion all over your back. Like you're gonna say no? You're gonna be like, oh, I already have sunscreen on. You're gonna be like, what sunscreen? I've never heard of it in my life. Please introduce me to it. Come on,
Yeah.
Rachel. You know, it's in the playbook, Rachel. If it's like a little footnote to like play number 7. Like if opportunity arises for
Sunscreenage.
for sunscreen application, like take advantage of at all costs.
Put yourself in the path of as many
Opportune
sunscreen
situation.
opportunities as possible. Yeah.
That's why Adam has his
He's
shirt
shirtless.
off at this
Yeah.
at this office event, is because he's like, oh, Olive's gonna come and I have to like maximize the ability to have sunscreen put on me by my fake girlfriend.
This is such a great book. I just like love this book. Yeah. Anyway, okay.
So they have emotional bonding. We hear more explicit details about Adam's advisor, which we already kind of told you about, and how Tom was his favorite and how Tom would always mediate with the advisor. And I'm like, how is that not just a glaring red flag for everybody involved that like Tom was the thing? And he is like, I felt like I couldn't report it at the time. So like I was in the same position that you are now. Like you should report it. And Olive is like, no, I don't want to report it.
Oh yeah, there's like really fucked up shit. Like his advisor like pitted him and Holden against each other. Like, and he was like, you both have to like do this experiment and whoever does it best gets funding next year. And instead they like team up and he's like, and do like a great job. And he's like, all right, well, neither of you get funding now. And also I'm going to publish this and not acknowledge either of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like horrible. And Adam is more like, yeah, that's why I'm tough on my advisors, but I on my students, but like I never make it about them. Like it's always about the work. It's never personal.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's where he differentiates himself. Anyway, emotional bonding in a very healthy way leads to sexy times.
But at the same time, throughout this entire night, somehow like Adam obliviously like brings up Tom in like positive situations. Like he's like, yeah, I almost like dropped out and went to law school instead, but Holden and Tom like threw out my applications and like forced me to stay. And like they were so like, he's just like hyping it up about like how the only reason he is where he is today is like partly because of Tom. And so Olive, like every time that comes up, she's like, oh fuck, like I can't, like what am I gonna do?
Yeah, shit, I can't tell him.
Right. But
so as we all know, emotional bonding leads to sexy times. Olive is like, I have a hot man. We are in a hotel room by ourselves, and I'm going to take advantage of this shit. And she walks up to him, and she puts his hand on his cheek, and he leans into it like a cat. And it's very, very cute.
And then
they kiss.
And the quote is cute. It's like, she's like, it wasn't their first kiss, but it was the first kiss that was theirs.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that it's not like just immediately like perfect. Like it just, they work up to it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's specifically said like, oh, like, you know, it took them a little bit to like get the like, you know, the angle right and get like the rhythm right. But like they did it and then it was really hot.
But Adam, so after she kisses him, Adam like first pulls away and he's like, Olive, like, I don't think we should do this. Like, you're in love with someone else. And
then he also brings up the consent and like power dynamics between them, which like, yeah, Adam, like we love it. We love a man who is like cares very much about consent.
It's kind of, it's very like weird for a romance novel for the hero to be like pulling back this many times. But every time he's like, you know, you can always like change your mind. Like she's like, I said I wanted to do it. And he's like, yeah, but you can always like change your mind, which is true.
Like at every step of the way, he's like, are you sure I can do this? He's like, can I do this? Like, will you allow me to do this? It's great. Yeah. Consent is sexy, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Definitely. She also consents to him putting her entire boob in his mouth. That's just like casually like a vacuum, like a Hoover. He's just like like a, I don't know, a Jello shot.
Which like, listen, if you can fit your fist in your mouth, presumably Olive, I'm assuming she's described as very slender, like she has small boobs, and I would say the size of your fist is about the size of a small boob. So if you can put your whole fist in your mouth, you could fit a whole boob in your mouth
because it's jelly, like it's not bony.
Yeah, it like also it also like it's more moldable.
If your boobs are bony, get that checked out. PSA.
Your boobs are they're just extra perky. Like you got bones surgically inserted.
Yeah, that's a different story.
It's an all new kind of boob job. Boob bones, the next big thing in plastic surgery.
Boob your way to a boner.
a boomer.
Yeah. There's also wait. There's the lips and teeth and tongue. It's just like classic
Yeah,
line.
no, no,
Yeah.
no. They're not on the bed yet. They're still
Okay.
standing up,
Okay.
still
Okay.
making
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Adam is like, no, ha ha ha, we can't unless. And Olive is like, oh, are you not attracted to me? Like, what's up? And he's like, we have one of my favorite tropes. He's like, am I not attracted to you? And then he takes her hand and puts it on his erect dick, and I love when this happens, when the heroine is like, oh, I don't like, are you just not into this, when the hero is being reluctant, and he's like, baby, like, I am hard as a fucking rock right now, and oh, little tingles, serotonin tingles. I love those scenes.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're like making out, lips and teeth and tongue. Classic line.
And I know lips and teeth and tongue is a very like, it feels like almost like a cliche at this point, because I like see it in like almost every, but you know what? The romance novels that include lips and teeth and tongue are like almost always winners.
Mhm.
Like the kind of author that uses lips and teeth and tongue, like I immediately get the vibe they're trying to give me. Like I immediately know what's up.
No, for sure. And I forget like what order this stuff happens in, but like basically he like fingers her a little bit, and then like somehow like he's like, oh, you have done this before, right? And she's like, yeah, a couple of times. And then he like, this is his like second pull away moment, because he's like, I can't do this. And she's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you're basically a virgin. And she like goes on this rant. She's like, virginity is a dichotomous variable. It is not continuous. It's like an on-off switch. And I'm like, girl,
which I will
debatable,
listen, I'll do you one better, Olive. Virginity is a social construct.
Yes. Yes.
Virginity doesn't exist.
Yeah. So basically Olive was like, yeah, I wasn't like attracted to anyone in the past, like until you, basically.
Yeah. Which I think is demisexual, like when you need to get to know someone before you're sexually attracted to them.
Maybe. But she's like, but I just wanted to get it over with. So I just like slept with like a guy a few times in college, and like he was nice, but like, you know, it was like pleasant at best.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really enjoy it.
I don't know the context of this, but Adam's eyes are described as eyes that were all pupil. Again, like a cat.
Very cat-like.
You know what it's like that? It's like those videos of like you play like the ancient Egyptian like lute music to your cat, and it's supposed to like activate the like when cats were worshipped. And the cats like all like look up and their pupils like dilate to saucers. And like that's what I'm imagining Adam is like right now. But like cat eyes in Adam Driver's face. And we get, so the sex is spread across 2 chapters. And so each chapter, we never mentioned this, it starts with like a quote unquote hypothesis. Get it? Because it's the love hypothesis from Olive, where it's like hypothesis. And it's like something funny. And the one for this chapter is like hypothesis, like sex is never going to be more than like just a tolerable I just like really enjoyed
the audiobook reader did a great job with that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the audiobook
narrator. Who was the narrator for this book?
I don't know. It wasn't
give him a shout out,
but like I will.
It is. It does not say.
She's no Ileana Kadushin, but not everyone can Ileana Kadushin.
Yeah. Well, the thing with that is like, I feel like I judge an audiobook reader mostly by like how few times I cringe, you know. Yeah. And like I can only remember like one line that Olive says, and I'm like, that was kind of weird in this book. And like that's it. And like, you know, if it's only one time, that's like pretty damn good.
And there were no voices that like I disliked.
Right. On sounded suitably annoying. Callie Dalton. Never heard her before.
Good on you, Callie Dalton. Yeah. Great job with this audiobook.
Yeah.
We'll seek out, if you do any more books, we'll seek you out.
Definitely.
Good job, Callie. So he lies her on the bed and I'm sorry. They're still standing up. He's fingering
this whole time. Yeah.
They've been standing this whole time. He's sitting on the bed and she's standing above him. So it's like the first time she's taller than him. And he like starts to finger her, and we use the word panties in this situation, and I just like would like to put it out there that I have a hard dislike for the word panties.
I've been
that
desensitized,
is specifically a me thing. I think most people are fine with panties, but for some reason the word panties is just so evocative of like an 80s porno to me that I just like I can't I can't do it.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then continuing on the panties, line. Her underwear is green. It's like green polka dots or something. And he looks at it and he's like, I guess my favorite color is green after all. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I love it. It's second only to the hero's favorite color being the heroine's eye color. Like
Yeah.
second only to that. Favorite
Candy
thing.
color.
Like panty color. I've never seen that before, but it's zoomed right up there in like the favorite trope. He takes her shirt off and the line goes, she didn't even fight it when he took the shirt completely off of her. It was his after all. I'm like, oh, give it to me, Ali Hazelwood. She's embarrassed that she's so aroused so quickly. And I'm like, when has that ever been embarrassing, like for a woman? Like I can see that being embarrassing for a man, like when you get like a surprise boner and you're like trying to hide it. But like I feel like women are always like women who can get wet fast. Like that's, I'm not saying it's a good like thing to pray. Like I'm not saying that we should be pressuring women to get like, or people with vaginas into like getting wet fast, but like I'm also like, why are you embarrassed about this, Olive? Why are you embarrassed about this?
Yeah. I mean, I can like see from a certain perspective, like she at this point is like, she thinks that Tom, I mean, oh God, I keep calling him Tom. She thinks that Adam is in love with someone else. And so she like doesn't want him to know that she has feelings for him. And this is like admitting how into him she is, at least like physically.
So he starts fingering her. And this is when he's like, oh, you're super tight. And like just from his like putting two fingers, like he hasn't even brought out his dick yet.
Yeah.
But he adjusts his cock. And it was described as it was enormous already.
Oh, God.
And it's like still in his pants. And I'm like, oh, we love it.
Can I just like pause and point out that she is wearing knee socks this entire time?
Yes.
Which, so this was
rainbow knee socks.
Yes, this was introduced earlier that she's like known for her knee socks and on like roasts her for it, deservedly, I would say. However, this means that she either was like wearing knee socks during the day, which seems unlikely, or she wears knee socks to bed, which honestly, I can't even wear like regular socks to bed. That's like terrible. Do you think knee socks would be better or worse? Like,
I don't know. That like I think we're gonna have to do an experiment, Rachel. Listener, like tonight we will be sleeping in knee socks if we have them. I think I have like at least one pair of old knee socks. And we'll let you know whether it's better or worse. My theory is that it actually may be better than sleeping in regular socks, because regular socks, it concentrates all the heat to your feet and then your feet are just like super sweaty. But with knee socks, it seems like it would be a more even distribution. You also get that like compression element that like, you know. So I don't know, we'll see. If I wake up tomorrow morning and the socks are on the floor like they always are if I wear socks to bed, like you'll know that it's not good.
Yeah, the question is, will I wake up later or earlier than with regular socks?
We're scientists after all. In the theme of this book, we'll be scientists. Hypothesis, knee socks are better than regular socks to bed. We'll do an experiment to see whether it's correct.
Yeah. Not better than Commando, though. Foot Commando. So
because she's so tight, Adam is like, we are going to need to do this a little bit differently. But then he just like puts her in missionary position and like eats her out, which I'm like, what exactly? Like, is it the fact that like you're not immediately going dick in, like, and that you're like stopping for some foreplay? Like, what exactly is differently about this? I the only reason I bring this up, I'm a big fan of like men eating their ladies out, but I'm like, I thought we were going to get some kink. I thought Adam was going to like pull out some handcuffs and a blindfold and like we were going to like spice things up a little bit.
The knee socks are the
like,
blindfold.
Don't tell me that Adam wouldn't be into kink. He absolutely would. Like my stern brunch daddy does not keep a tie in his back pocket at all times for this just occasion. No. Like I thought it was going to be kink. Unfortunately, it's not. However, we do get Olive has the classic like virgin line of like, no, you don't have to do that. We should do something you're into. And he's like, I'm super into this. And I am super into that trope of like the man being like, eating women out is literally my favorite thing in the entire world. And Olive is like, it usually takes me a while to come because like, you know, I'm not super sexual. And Adam is like, yes, please. Like,
we also get this weird, like, Olive, it's like Olive was embarrassed at how concave her stomach was. But then, like, a sentence later, she's like, my back arched in a perfect curve. So now I'm just picturing this, like, weird, like, anti-hourglass shape. Like, she's just, like, shaped like a fucking, like, double triangle. Like, what? I don't know.
yeah.
Also, they have an entire conversation about the socks during
No,
sex. Or
that's
is this
later.
after?
That's after
Yeah, yeah,
sex.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, Olive has a great orgasm, as expected, from Adam's mouth of dreams. And then Adam takes out his penis, and it is very long and very thick. Like, it's described as just like absolutely like
Okay, we don't.
absurd, like XXL penis. And all, as you may remember from last week's episode, in which I divulged the personal trauma I have at having been exposed to dolphin penises, there is a small lizard part of my brain that could not prevent myself from imagining Adam's penis as just like a dolphin penis, but like person colored instead of white. And it really sort of a little bit killed the mood for me. A little bit brought me out of it. This is my specific trauma that I have to deal with, and I will be talking about it with my therapist next week. But
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, basically, as we established, Adam is huge TM in all meanings of the word. And so they had like a little bit of issue with that, but like it works fine. And then yeah, it's great.
They have more orgasms. They did have a discussion. Worry not, listener. They had a discussion about birth control, and Olive is like, I don't have any STDs, and I'm on the pill, so we're good to go.
Adam never says that, but he's been like celibate for the past 3 years, pining after Olive.
Yeah,
so
like, he's fine. Even though he didn't have Gardasil, so he could have HPV. You never know.
Listen, just because the Gardasil vaccine hurts doesn't mean that the flu vaccine doesn't also hurt.
I wasn't discounting that. I was just saying you don't understand true vaccine related pain until you've had Gardasil.
Rabies.
That's what I was saying. Yeah. So then they have a cute sock removing scene because she's like, oh, I hope you didn't think it was weird that I was wearing my socks this whole time. And he's like, why is that weird? And she's like, I don't know. Like, maybe people don't want to have sex with people with weird, like, troll toes. And he's like, do you have troll toes? And she's like, no way, haha.
No, he's like, I've seen you in flip-flops multiple times, which means that he noticed her feet, right? if someone notices another person's feet, no matter who it is, he definitely has like a foot kink. Like, Rachel. I will not.
Tangent, I just read a book that's a romance in which the hero in fact has a foot fetish, and it is very like openly acknowledged and like incorporated into their sex life.
Oh, did you know there's like an actual, okay, I have not independently verified this. This is just something I heard like probably a long time ago, but may or may not be true. Please take it with a grain of salt. But apparently there's like a real like brain wiring reason for foot kink, because the like part of your brain, like basically the part of your brain that like genitals and feet are very close together. So like in some people they're like closer than others. It's like very easy to like switcheroo. Like, what? I forget what the actual explanation is, but like
genitals and feet are close together.
Hold on.
You mean people that don't have legs?
No. I mean, okay. They occur due to the part of the brain called the somatosensory cortex, which is the area that makes you, quote, feel things. You can see that your feet and toes are right next to your genitals on your brain. That's why foot fetishes are the most common fetishes in the world.
Oh, so you mean the area of the brain that like deals with genitals and the area of the brain that deals with feet are right next to each other.
So you basically are just getting your like wires crossed because they're literally bumping up against each other.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a fun fact.
Yeah.
Listen, if you have a foot fetish, as long as you're not hurting anyone or like being creepy about it, like live your best life. Like if your partner is willing to like, frankly, like if I dated someone and they were willing to like constantly give me like foot massages as foreplay, like that sounds amazing. Like what exactly is bad about that?
Yeah, no, 100%.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
it seems like a win-win.
Shame.
Yeah, don't shame, but don't shame. I won't say all fetishes because I'm sure there are some fetishes that we should shame. But for the most part, if your fetish isn't hurting anybody, like there's no reason to shame it.
Yeah.
Let people have attractions.
Anyway, Adam now canonically has a foot fetish, so that will not be told any
Yes.
differently.
Confirmed.
Um, especially because we know that Olive's feet probably are actually nasty because she is a runner. She runs 2 marathons a year.
No, because she specifically is like, oh, like he takes off her socks and then she's like, oh, my feet don't look like I run 2 marathons a year. Like my feet
Yeah,
are
that's
actually
what
pretty
she
cute.
thinks, but I don't believe it. I don't buy it.
Whatever.
Sus.
Maybe she wears the flip flops in order to air out her feet so that they don't get like
Yeah.
grody. That's what you're supposed to do when you hike. When you hike, like do like long distance hiking trails. So Adam and Olive are cuddling in bed, and Olive sees that Adam has a book in Dutch on his bedside table. And she's like, LOL, my freshman year roommate had a poster that said, I love you in a bunch of different languages. And one of them was Dutch. So I know how to say I love you in Dutch. And Adam is like, you have a horrible Dutch accent. Never do that again.
No. First, she's like, what language is that? And he's like, Dutch. And she's like, oh, is it like, did you speak Dutch with your parents? Like, how did you learn it? And he's like, no, there were au pairs mostly, which like makes no sense because like au pairs are usually from like a different country. So why would they all speak Dutch? Like, what? Unless this is my theory, because later, after she says the I love you thing, he's like, they're like, oh, why would you need to know that? Like, most people only need to know that in one language. Like, where's the bathroom is much more useful. And he's like, Vad is da VC? And so that's my pet theory that like the au pairs were actually all just speaking accented English and he somehow assumed it was Dutch.
Dutch, it's not too far off of what the Dutch language actually
Yeah, exactly.
sounds like.
That's what I'm saying. So like it's an understandable mistake to make.
Yeah, and they have some cuddling. She gives him a hot blowjob. Adam is like his mind is fucking blown. Like he just like has a fucking stroke by how good this blowjob is, despite the fact that she has never done the blowjob, which again, like it's not necessarily my favorite trope, but it is a trope that I enjoy of like man is so into probably very bad blowjob just because he is so in love with girl. Like
here's my thing though, I really don't know if there is such a thing as like a bad blowjob. Unless it's
well,
like,
if you don't know to like cover your teeth, if you don't know to like incorporate the tongue, like there's a technique.
No. I don't know. I disagree. I feel like it doesn't matter as long as I agree. If you're like biting, if there's teeth, I feel like that's
But even in this case, I like a little teeth scraping if it's intentional.
Sure, but Olive's not at that level.
Isn't necessarily bad. Yeah. Anyway, Adam loses his fucking mind because they can't have like penetrative sex again because Olive is too sore because she's a semi-virgin. But yeah, then they cuddle and Adam is he's talking about their future in Boston and how he's going to take her hiking and the hiking trails and show her all his favorite grad school haunts. And she's like, getting depressed again because like she's like, I'm not going to Boston, but like I can't tell him that. And like sweet baby boy Adam is like just doesn't know that Tom sucks and like that he's about to be very sad for like 24 hours before he finds out the truth.
Yeah. So the next day Adam has to leave early and Olive's like, you don't have to wake me up, whatever. Like,
yeah, he has to leave early to interview with Harvard.
And he's also going to be staying at a different hotel that night to be like closer to Harvard. So Olive wakes up to like 143 texts from Psycho on. Like that is just like unreal.
Ho. Let's not be calling on Psycho in this respect, Rachel. How many times have I woken up to like 75 TikToks from you?
Sure. Here's the thing though. That's different because it's all different content. It's all about like one dramatic thing that happened that, let me mention, has already happened in her eyes, like with Olive essentially. It's like, why is it so exciting? I don't understand. But basically it's like a million texts and Olive decides, okay, don't give me that
I just need you to not be such a hypocrite. I just need you to recognize that in this situation, you and On are the same. You're the same.
I'm not accepting criticism at this time.
I will be giving it anyway.
So after like scrolling through a few of them, Olive's like, it's not worth it. Like she just like texts On her room number and the cavalry charges in, Malcolm and On, and Malcolm is like glowing because the big news is that he's finally landed his crush of like 3 years, Holden Rodriguez. They
Yes.
hit it off
And
at the bar, and then
Ali Hazelwood retcons the ending of the new Star Wars trilogy that everyone wanted, which was Finn and Poe being boyfriends. So we don't get that in Star Wars canon, but we do get that here in The Love
yes,
Hypothesis. They bang. It's like insta love. Like they're like
insta
immediately
love.
boyfriends. They
They're
literally
immediately
have hooked up once, and he's
on
like,
their
"Yes, he's my
way.
boyfriend."
Yes, immediately on their way to CVS to buy condoms, and it's like somehow romantic.
Like ready to open. Hey, Rachel, safe sex is always romantic.
No,
Safe
okay,
sex
that's
is
not what I
always
meant.
romantic.
That's not what I meant. I just meant like I feel like it would be awkward. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Like I feel like
Rachel, there is nothing awkward about safe sex. About
okay.
safe, responsible sex.
All right, fine. Cut this out.
No, we. This is my lesson to the listeners. I'm reinforcing the safe sex message.
While they've been chatting about this like exciting news, she has just like a burst of like manic, like vengeful, not vengeful, but like protecting her goods energy. And she's like, you know what? This fucking bastard, he can ruin my relationship with Adam. But what he's not going to do is steal my research because you know what? Like, I wrote that report for him and gave him all my details. But you know what? That's also basically like a peer review paper, which actually I'm pretty sure like hard sciences and biology, like the papers are like 5 pages long, not fucking 90-page report. It's like absurdly short.
Whatever. She's
Whatever.
competent.
She's like, I can fucking get this published, and Tom is not going to know what hit him. And also, previously, Holden Rodriguez had given her advice. Like, she had been having trouble getting other labs to get back to her because she was reaching out to them directly as a student. But Holden was like, have your advisor, Dr. Aishkul Aslan, reach out to them instead, and they'll be more likely to respond to her because she's a tenured faculty member. So she emails her advisor.
Meantime, the other important bit that we get from this conversation is that Malcolm says that Holden mentioned that Adam's funds got released, and so
Oh yeah,
Olive is like, there is nothing holding Adam to me anymore. Like I need to break it off from him. So she gets a text from Adam. Her friends putz off and hang out at the conference. And she is like, I do not have the energy for that right now because I am sad and about to break up with my hot boyfriend. And so she goes to Adam's new hotel room and
he's like so excited to see her. He's like, we get dinner, we get Mexican or Chinese, which are like two things he previously shot down when she suggested them. And he's like, we go to a movie at a real movie theater. We can find something where no horses die. And maybe I can give you, in the text, he's like, maybe I can give you a tour of Tom's lab ahead of time, which like
obviously is a trigger. So she arrives. He's very excited. It just really, really breaks your heart because he's like, this is the one point in which he's not cat-like. He is very much like a little puppy dog right now. And she's just got to kick him. She's just got to kick that puppy while he's down. And she breaks up with him. She's like, it's September 29th. Like, have your funds been released? And Adam is like, oh yeah, I was going to tell you at dinner. And she's like, that means like, we're done. And he's like, I don't want us to be done. And I forget, what reason does she give for her?
The important thing to mention is that, so originally they had said like, oh, we'll end our agreement on September 29th because that's like the latest that the funds could get released and still like be okay and still like be worth it for him. September 28th is my birthday, which means that the first day they have sex is on my birthday. So mommy, daddy, is it you?
You fucking weirdo. Mommy? Sorry. Mommy? Sorry. Mommy.
Oh my God. Oh yeah. Also, like Olive had not realized, like, I don't know when this happens, but Olive has like a seemingly like brain blast moment where she's like, Adam said he was considered a flight risk, but he never like said he wasn't a flight risk. Like he is actually a flight risk. He was planning to leave this whole time. And she like seemingly realizes that he actually wanted to go to Harvard. And so she tells him like, yeah, I mean, your research funds have been released. Like An and Jeremy are together. There's like no reason to consider this. To continue this.
But then she's like, it's September 29th. I'm not your fake girlfriend anymore. And Adam is like, what if you were my real girlfriend or something? Yes. He like basically is like, what if we did this for real? And then she gives some reason that I like totally did not catch. Why? Like she does.
I don't
basically
think
she's just like, I don't want to. I'm busy. I don't have time for a relationship. I'm pretty sure. Something like that. Anyway. She breaks his poor little heart. And Adam, still being the beautiful gentleman that he is, says, if you need anything, I want you to come to me. Anything. I want you to come to me. I want to help you. Because he still cares about her, even though she stomped over his precious little heart.
Oh, before they break up, she also like asks him what he thinks about Holden and Malcolm, because she's like, is Holden like serious about Malcolm? And he's like, oh, he's totally ready to file joint taxes.
Yeah.
And something, I don't know how this comes in, but he's like, yeah, like Malcolm couldn't stop talking about him. Like he mentioned like randomly that Holden's allergic to peanuts. And Adam was like, oh, he lies about that because he just doesn't like peanuts, which you used to do when you were a kid. You used
I
to say you were allergic to
never
nuts.
listen to me. To set the record straight, I don't want this slander getting around that I ever pretended not to be allergic to peanut butter, because I
No,
love
not
peanut butter.
peanut
In fact,
butter.
my MO as a child was stealing the
No.
jar of Jif peanut butter and hiding behind the couch with a spoon, to the extent that our dad had to screw the lid on extra tight so that I wouldn't be able to open it with my tiny child hands. Nuts, however, listen to me, Rachel, if you and the rest of my family had respected my dislike of nuts as a child, I wouldn't have had to go to such extreme lengths as pretending to be allergic to them. The same with Holden. If people had respected his dislike of peanut butter, he wouldn't have to lie. So it is really, the deception is on your shoulders. It's on society's shoulders. Holden and I are blameless. We are innocents caught in the war of societal judgment about food.
Mm-mm.
Viva la revolution!
No. You are the bourgeoisie. You're the
May the fake allergy kids unite.
Oh my god. You and this like professor.
I'm in good company. Holden's hot and smart.
Yeah. I don't know what reason she gives. I don't think she really does. She's just like, I hope that like whoever your real girlfriend ends up being, like, you know,
She
is good to
appreciates you.
you. Like, I can't imagine anyone not reciprocating your feelings, and it's really sad.
Yeah.
And then we have like a dramatic like
One last steamy kiss.
one less like she's like, I'm turning away, and he like involuntarily grabs her arm, but then like lets it go as if he's been burned. But then they like, yeah.
They make out. And listen, the only thing that I like better than a steamy kiss, one last steamy kiss, is one last steamy goodbye sex. Unfortunately, that does not happen, but this kiss is still pretty great. Yeah, so obviously they're both sad. Just imagine like them walking slow-mo in the streets, split screen, and then something like, one is the loneliest number that you ever knew. Like, or some otherwise sad song playing overhead.
Can be as bad as one.
And then like on one scene, one of them starts getting rained on, and in the other scene, like a truck drives by and splashes a puddle onto that. Like both of them just like very sad, wet, and lonely.
Fire alarm goes off finally in the hotel.
What?
So like their brains on them in the room.
Someone was hanging their shirt on like the sprinkler and it broke, and then the hotel is just flooded.
Oh my
god. Yeah, so Olive goes back to the hotel. She's sad. She mopes the rest of the night and half of the next day.
Then Malcolm and An come back over for reasons unknown, just to like chill.
Because An is like, and you know, I can respect this on. They're both like, you know, this is the last day of the conference. We're in Boston. Like, let's go, like, do something fun. Like, we were all so excited about this. And like, you've just been hanging out in your room. Like, let's go. Anna's like, let's do the freedom trails and get like beer and ice cream, which I am good for 2 out of those 3 things. So sign me up. I will replace beer with cider.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm not good with beer. Beer tastes like piss.
Yeah, it
really I will not be taking questions.
Yeah. So then while they're there, Olive gets the email from Dr. Aishul Aslan being like, yes, of course.
There, as in the hotel room.
Yeah.
They don't go on the freedom trail.
Yeah. Dr. Aslan is like, yeah, definitely. Just like shoot me your list of potential people to contact. And also don't forget to send me your recording of your talk from yesterday. And Olive is like, oh, I don't feel like editing this like several hours long recording. But like, I guess it's rude to just respond to one of those. So she's like, all right, hold up, guys. And she like airdrops it to her computer and she's editing it. And honestly, the fact that Olive has seemed so incompetent and clueless when it comes to technology throughout this book had me on the edge of my seat when she went to edit the recording, because I was like, this bitch is going to somehow permanently delete this file or like otherwise like mangle it in some unrecognizable way. But luckily they're just like chatting when all of a sudden blaring from her computer comes the like quote of like, you fuck Tom to get ahead, you'll fuck me too. And An and Malcolm are like understandably horrified and they're like, what the fuck was that? And
Olive is like, I can't listen to it again.
Yeah.
So here's headphones and I'm going to go cry in the bathroom, which
Yeah.
very understandable. Totally
Yes.
understand that reaction. And so she comes back out of the bathroom and they're both obviously even more horrified. And Anna's like, you have to report him. You have to tell Adam. And Olive is like, no, I can't do that. It'll ruin Adam's life. And also, I don't want to report him. And An has, man, I got to give On points in this fucking scene. On is like very calmly like takes Olive's hand and is like, Olive, like that was sexual harassment. And Olive was like, no, it isn't. And On was like, yes, it is. Like you need to report him. And I just I hate to give On any points, but that was a good
Yeah.
interaction. On good for you.
Yeah, and then Olive is like, it'll ruin Adam's like moving to Boston. And On's like, well, you're not gonna go to Boston anymore, and Adam is not moving without you. And Olive is like, yes, he is. And On is like, no, I can tell he's in love with you. And then like Malcolm and Olive are like exchanging glances, and Olive's like, all right, it's finally time to fess up. And they like explain the whole fake dating thing to An and like why she did it. And An is like, but you guys were so touchy feely in public. There was so much PDA left
You
and
guys
right.
kissed and sat on each other's laps. And
And
then and
lotion him.
Olive is like, because you made me do all those things. Like you pushed me to
Yeah.
do. And like she's like, are you sensing a pattern here? And On is, and this is why I didn't end up posting my Goodreads flame review against On, because she is like justified. She is like, oh, that was really fucked up of me. Like, I'm super sorry. Like, I was just trying to be helpful. I was just trying to like show you that you could be comfortable, like being physically affectionate with your boyfriend. And I'm like, God damn it. Like, I have to accept her apology now and like not hate her forever. Like, An has grown as a person. Like, whatever. Fine. So that all goes out in the open. And Olive is like, I still don't think I should tell Adam. Like, I just like I don't want to ruin things for him. And Anna's like, yeah, it's not like we know anyone that like would be able to tell us if Adam would want to know. And Holden is like, yeah, it's not like one of the people in this room just started dating Adam's friend of 3 decades. And he whips out his phone to text Holden, who he has saved, I would like to note, as Holden Bubblebutt. And I thoroughly enjoyed that reading that. And so Holden is giving like a presentation.
Is this a good time to mention that like Massachusetts is a 2-party consent state when it comes to recording? So like Olive may or may not have committed a crime. 2-party consent, like for if you're not familiar with this, like it depends on the state, but in some states you only need one party to a conversation to consent in order to record it. But in some states like Massachusetts, you need both parties to consent. And I mean, I guess like she probably told everyone that she was recording. Like she announced it at the beginning of her presentation. And also it's like a public space. So maybe he had no like reasonable expectation of privacy. But like, I
Yes.
don't know. Yeah, I think
No,
that's probably
okay.
it.
So I'm looking at Massachusetts law about 2-party consent, and it says Massachusetts makes it a crime to secretly record a conversation, whether the
Right.
conversation is in person or taking place by the telephone or another medium. So I think like it's reasonable to expect that someone would be recording Olive's talk. And so like
If she announced it, yeah. And it
yeah.
is like a public space. So
Or
I
like
guess.
if there's like a thing on the program that's like any of these things may be recorded.
Sure. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So I guess that's a non-issue. But yeah, so Olive puts off to talk to Holden and get his advice. And she's like, hey, Holden, like, I just wanted to ask, like, I remember you told me Tom is a snake and to like watch my back and Adam's back with him. Like, can you give me more like deets on that? And so Holden is like, I'm glad you asked. Well, remember how Tom was allegedly like standing up for Adam and always defending him when his advisor would like rag on him for the littlest things that went wrong? Well, that was kind of weird because the advisor was super hands off by that point and was like never around to like witness any of these tiny things that Adam would do wrong, like putting the wrong color pipette or something. Like, so it's kind of weird how like he would always know exactly what went wrong with Adam's shit, but no one else's. And kind of weird how Tom would always have to step in. So my theory is that like Tom was setting him up and like snitching on him and then stepping in to be the good guy. But that sounds crazy because there's like no obvious motive for Tom to do that.
Yeah. Other than the fact that Adam is like a super, even then was like a super brilliant scientist, and like it's sort of like a status symbol to be able to like control or like have influence over someone like that, which Tom does. Basically just Tom's a dick. Like that's like Tom's a dick. I
Yeah.
don't really need any further reason than that. Like he's a manipulative dick.
Right. But Holden was like, I could never tell Adam explicitly because it would obviously just sound like I was like jealous and
No,
like I
he
didn't have
did.
any
He was like, I
proof.
told Adam, and Adam was like,
I don't
didn't
think he told him
take me
explicitly,
seriously.
but yeah. And then Olive is like, she says it in like a super like roundabout way. She's like, if you had proof of the way that Tom actually is, like, would you show Adam? And Holden is like,
I can't answer
answer
that
that. But he doesn't
for
ask her like
you.
what the proof is, which is like, I don't know, it's like played as like, oh, like he's such a good person for not doing that. I feel like I definitely would be like, what you got? What you
Well,
got
I
there,
feel like
girl?
ultimately, like she's the
But I
one
definitely
who
want,
has to live with telling him. So
but I
like
would
it has to be
definitely,
a decision that she makes.
but I would
But he
definitely want
does
to
tell her,
know.
he essentially answers it because he's like, I'm not going to answer that, but I'm going to tell you three things. Like one, what are the three things?
One, Adam is a scientist, and
Oh
good
yeah.
science only happens when you draw conclusions from all available evidence,
Yeah.
not just like what supports your theory.
Yeah.
Two,
Two.
academic politics. And like you might not know this, but the grant that Adam and Tom got, like Adam is the critical one there. Tom is kind of superfluous. Like it's definitely like even if Tom got kicked off, Adam would keep the grant money, which seems like suspicious to me. I guess Holden doesn't know the details of what Olive has, but like maybe he thinks it's something that would just be like personal between Tom and Adam, where Adam would be like, I'm not working with you anymore. But like knowing what we know, I feel like there's no way the like grant people would be like, yeah, sure, like partner of the person that's like that like was sexually harassing someone is getting fired from his academic position. Like, sure, keep them like millions of dollars.
Well, but I think it's also a little bit like Holden being like, listen, Adam's excited about this grant, but ultimately, like, if he loses the grant, it's not really going to send him back.
Right. Oh no, and I wasn't saying like weird that Holden is leaving it up to her. I'm saying weird that Holden isn't like, what do you have on Tom?
No, well, Holden's not a gossip.
No, but like
Holden's like way too chill for that. Yeah, and reason number three that Holden gives is like, just an FYI, like Harvard has tried to recruit Adam many times before, and he only accepted this invitation to interview after he found out that you were
oh
going to
yeah.
Tom's lab. So he's basically like, bitch, he's only doing this for you. Like, he's fucking in love with you. Go get your man. And Olive is like, I will go get my man.
Holden
So
is just way
what?
too good of a Holden is way too good of a person because this is his like golden opportunity to be proved right after all of these years of saying that Tom being the only one that sees Tom as for the snake he is. I don't know. If I was him, I'd be like jumping on that and being like, tell me.
No, Holden's a far better person than I. So anyway, Olive, she goes to Harvard and she's like, where did they take Adam for dinner? Because he's going to a fancy recruiting dinner tonight. And the Harvard secretary is like, nothing suspicious here. I'll give you the name of the restaurant.
No, she makes up like bullshit story about like being his grad student. We have an emergency.
Either way, the secretary is like, this is way above my pay grade, and like we're not going to do this tonight. So then Olive takes an Uber to the restaurant, and she gets a little pep talk from her Uber driver and tips that gal 150%.
We
Which
love to
good for you,
see.
everyone. Always tip your Uber drivers. And then she runs into the restaurant, and she's like, "Oh, maybe I'll just like try to catch Adam's eye and like wave my hands." But like Adam,
Afterward.
naturally with his spidey senses, he's like, my true love has arrived, and he like immediately looks up and spots her.
We get another mini scene. I wouldn't call this like a full on, but he does stop talking to the quote young beautiful faculty member and like look right at Olive.
Yes, because he's just completely gone for her. And he
Yeah.
goes up and she's like, I don't know how to tell you this. I didn't know whether I would like be brave enough to tell you this, but like I have to tell you this before I lose my nerve. And he's like, oh my God, what's wrong? And then little Dick Tom shows up and is like, Adam, you can't just leave the dinner like that. It makes me look bad. You can't just do something like this for the student that you're fucking. And Adam is like, I am literally 2 seconds away from throw punching you right now. Meanwhile, Olive is like, I don't have time for this. I'm not going to do a dumb, like, let me explain scene. I'm just going to whip out my evidence.
No. You're missing. Like, Tom says that, and Adam's like, leave, while looking at Olive, and Olive is like, oh, I guess I'll leave. And Adam's like, no, I'm talking to Tom. Leave. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He's like, I talk to the fucking hand, Tom.
Yeah.
So Olive whips out her phone, starts playing the recording in the middle of like Tom going off again about, what a slut she is, basically.
And Tom still tries to like be like, I don't know what this bitch is up to. Like, what is she making up? And Adam is immediately
like the words start playing and then like everyone freezes and Adam is like looking at the phone and there's like it's another description of like the rage boiling behind his like mask of the face.
Yeah.
And then Tom starts being a dick again and tries to pull Adam away and tries to grab her phone and Adam just hulks out and he's like, don't touch my woman, and just goes absolutely feral and like body slams Tom against the fucking like wall and is like, oh, okay, ready? Well, no, first he realizes he's like Olive, like he's listening to the recording and he's like, he's the one who made you cry.
Yeah.
And like, oh, no. You do not make this man's lady cry. Not today, sir. And he body slams Tom against the wall. I'm imagining he has his hand at Tom's throat. I don't know whether that's actually happening, but like that is what is happening in my mind. And he says, are we ready? I'm going to kill you. If you say another word about the woman I love, if you look at her, if you even think of her, I'm going to fucking kill you. Pause. Actually, I may kill you anyway.
Somewhere in there, it's like Adam said in little more than a growl. And I'm pretty sure Adam growls a lot, which like cats go.
Because he's a fucking cat.
Okay, here's the thing. Adam, good ally. Josh from the hating game, take notes.
Yes, Josh, you know what you could have done? You could have body slammed fat little dick against the wall. And yet, you did not. Ooh, I love when a man goes absolutely feral. I love it. I wouldn't like it in real life. Like if my real life boyfriend body slammed someone, I would be like, ooh, that's some signs of violence that I'm feeling uncomfy with. But like in a book, chef's kiss. Perfect. Somehow Adam does not get arrested for assault.
Yeah, everyone else, all the like old people, all the other faculty members at Harvard are like, what the fuck is going on?
And Adam is like, the dean comes over and he's like, Dr. Carlson, you can't do things like this. And Adam is like, we need to meet in your office right now. And then he turns to Olive and he's like, send me that fucking recording. And then he turns to Tom and he doesn't say it out loud, but he's like, I'll fucking kill you. I swear to fucking God. He like cocks his like the Glock that he keeps in his pocket the entire time. And he's like, I have this and I will come for you if you fuck with me again. And then, but before he fully fucks up Tom, Olive stops him. She's like, Adam, no. And I also love when the lady is the calm in the man storm and she's the only one
it's like
who
no one else can
calm
get
him
through.
down.
Yeah.
So Adam is like, we need to talk to the dean. And then he turns to Olive and I don't know whether he takes her hand, but I'm imagining he's holding both of his hands like against his heart, both of her hands against his heart. And he says, I am going to take care of this. And then I'll come find you and I am going to take care of you. And I'm like, oh. Panties on the floor.
My God, you just said panties.
I know, I was saying it to be on theme. My polka dot green panties are on the floor.
All right, so Olive is on the plane. She has like a long ass layover with Malcolm and possibly On. I think On's on a different flight.
No, On's traveling with Jeremy.
And we find out that Holden and Adam are on their like direct flight, so they're gonna get there at the same time, despite leaving like way after. And yes. I love this commitment to the like I'm poor, like Olive and Malcolm on like the connecting flight, because it would have been so easy to have them all on the same flight, but like no, she's like no.
Ali Hazelwood knows what the people want. And also, when Olive turns her phone off airplane mode, she gets like 4 emails from like a bunch of different labs, like all replying to Dr. Aishagul Aslan's emails being like, I saw Olive speak this weekend, or like, yeah, her research sounds really interesting. Like, let's set up a call. I'd love to have her at my lab. And so like our girl is bouncing back like professionally and romantically. And we love it.
Mm-hmm. And so they all have a little rendezvous at the airport and Holden is like, I have a great idea right now after these traumatic happenings. Let's go on a double date.
Woohoo!
And Adam is like, I don't want to hang out with you. And Holden is like, but it's my birthday. And Adam's like, I love the gaslighting. Adam's like, your birthday's April 10th. And Holden's like, how do you know? And Adam's like, I've known you since we were 6. And
I've been to 5 Power
Holden's
Ranger
like-
birthday parties, the last of which was when you were 17.
And Holden's like, yeah, actually, you just like had it wrong the whole time. I just like felt too bad to tell you. And we can't forget that Malcolm hates Adam, so that area is gonna need to be cleared. So they all putz off to a Chinese restaurant, and Olive and Adam like giggle over the pumpkin spice bubble tea on the menu, and so like that comes up as a topic of conversation, and Holden is like, oh, that's awesome. Let's order like a bucket for all of us to share. And Malcolm is like, what the fuck? I hate pumpkin spice. Like, that's disgusting. It's like the devil. And so him and Adam can like bond over their like weird hatred of like.
And Holden makes Adam
groups.
apologize for being a dick.
Yeah. And they're like, LOL, like it has as much sugar as 50 Skittles. As if that's a lot of Skittles. Like, what? Is that even like one pack of Skittles? Let's be real here, boys. Why do you
no joy?
Why do you quote think hating entirely harmless families of food is a personality trait?
You know what? They've never tasted the rainbow, so they can't feel the joy of the
True.
rainbow. That's what it is. So Holden, so Malcolm is like, how could you not know I hate pumpkin spice? And like, he's like, oh yeah, because at some point in the book, Olive said that burgers taste like feet. And so when they were trying to decide on what kind of food to get, Adam was like, we can't get burgers because burgers taste like feet. And so Malcolm is like, well, Adam like loves and respects Olive's opinion on burgers. And Holden, I don't know why he thinks this, is like, yeah, but they've been dating for years. Like, we've only been dating for like a week. And I'm like, okay.
This doesn't make sense.
Why would you assume that your best friend in the entire world had been dating someone for years without telling you?
Especially because he told Olive that Adam has been pining after this like mystery girl who turns out to be Olive for years. Like he's been talking about how he like really wants to date her, but he doesn't want it to be weird because they're in the same department.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So he does. So yeah, Malcolm is like, no, they haven't. They've only been dating like a month longer than us. And I get what it is. So Holden is like, yeah, but like Adam's been in love with her for years. He's probably like memorized her like all her habits and shit, which is like definitely fair. That's like absolutely database. What happened. He's like drawing portraits of her feet and like, you know, memorizing her like favorite types of chocolate so he can stock up on protein bars so he can have them like at any time.
Yeah.
And then he's like, ever since Holden is like, Adam's liked her ever since they met in the bathroom. And Olive, despite having already figured out that Adam was her mystery bathroom man like half a book ago, is like acts surprised at this. And she's like, why didn't you tell me? And Adam is like,
She's surprised that he remembers. Like she assumed that if he remembered, he would tell her.
Oh.
So they both like assume that the other person doesn't remember.
Oh.
You know?
That's dumb as rocks. Anyway, Din is over. Holden and Malcolm.
Dalmatian biting his ass. I have that written down.
What?
Just in case you wanted to mention that. How Dalmatian bit Adam's ass one time when he was like 9.
Okay. Yeah. So the night continues. Holden is telling funny childhood stories about Adam, and he tells a story about a Dalmatian biting Adam's butt as like a 12-year-old, which is something that happens far more often than you think, specifically dogs biting children in their nether regions. Our neighbors, when we were younger, got like a surprise dog who was not a very nice dog, allegedly. Like I never actually met the dog. But one day Rachel and I are like walking down the street.
And he came over. He specifically came over. He came over with an ice pack.
No, he was at the end of his driveway.
Fireflies.
He was like, come here.
No, he came over. Okay, it doesn't matter. Whatever.
Okay, whatever. We meet one of the neighbor boys who had the dog. And
he's just standing there with an ice pack.
He's just standing there with an ice pack in his crotch. And he's like, the dog bit my dick. And I just want to say that I have brought this up to him since then. And he like stringently denied this ever happened. And I was like, excuse me, I have like a fellow witness. Like this isn't something I dreamed up. Like Rachel remembers this too.
This is not something you want to get out.
Like I recognize that you're very embarrassed by it. And frankly, like you should be embarrassed by it. But like it's too late to back out now. Like, you were the one that came to the end of our driveway with an ice pack in your pants and told us that your dog bit your dick. Maybe it was just a form of like childhood flirting. He like thought that like any mention of dick was sexy, and so like, oh yeah, the dog bit my dick, but my dick is strong enough to survive. I don't know.
No, because they got rid of that dog like a week later.
They got rid of the dog because they got it while the mom was away. That was it. They got it while their mom was away, and then their mom came back and was like, "No, we're not having a dog."
Fair. Okay, so they all leave the restaurant. And naturally, they all get fortune cookies, which are like super accurate, but also not fortunes. So like could be real fortune cookies, you know? Like Holden's and Malcolm's are like roasting each other. Like Holden's or Malcolm's is like, give yourself a good time because you're not going to find someone else to do it. And then like Holden's is like, if you laugh at yourself, you'll never run out of jokes. And
they're both roasting Holden.
Yeah. And then Olive's is like, what is it? It's like
there's never a better time to tell the truth.
Yeah, which like she's been kind of lying this whole time. And then Adam's is like, you can fall in love. Someone will catch you.
It's lovely. So Malcolm and Holden drive off. Olive is like 10 minutes away, a 10-minute walk from her house. So she has another instance where she is like fully willing to walk along this dark street, lugging her heavy suitcase, like with no sidewalk, with like a very small sidewalk, like by herself at night. And Adam is like, oh my God, you fucking idiot. Like, are you trying to get yourself killed? Like just with the bike lane thing.
Why is America so hostile to pedestrians?
I don't know. It's very upsetting. So they're walking home. Adam is naturally carrying her bag like a gentleman.
As well as his own, presumably.
Maybe. I assume that Adam has like a fancy rolly bag, so it's less like important. Meanwhile, Olive has a duffel bag. So they walk home. They do a little debrief on Tom, who not only has lost Adam's beautiful friendship, but has also rightfully been fired from his job, along with some other unnamed disciplinary actions. Basically, Tom has got what is coming to him, except for jail. He should be in jail, but otherwise ruined for life. And not to kick a dog while he's down, but I hope Adam has a big old "you were right" to give to Holden after this conversation, or I hope he spent like the whole plane ride home being like, "You were right" about Tom to Holden, because like Holden's too nice to ask for it, but like I'm sure it would be appreciated to hear.
For sure.
Oh, and then Adam says, sorry, just one more thing. Adam says, I should never have trusted him with you, as if she were something precious. And I'm like, that's because you are precious to him, Olive.
Okay, yeah, so they get out to like outside her apartment, and Olive is like, okay, I have to tell you something. And she's like crying for like the third time in the past like 20 pages. And she starts off going on this like, she leads in with like type 1 and type 2 error, which if you don't know is like, I mean, I guess a more intuitive way to call it is like false positive, false negative. So she's like, in science, we're like always so worried about false positives. And Adam's like, I mean, statistical graduate education is inadequate.
She's trying to use this big science metaphor.
I actually use this metaphor all the time. Like, I love doing this, and Cameron hates it.
She tries to use this science metaphor to confess her love, and Adam is just like, he just doesn't get it. He doesn't get what she's trying to do, and he's just like, oh, you want to discuss science? Like, okay, let's discuss science.
The whole world is type 1 and type 2 error. Let me just tell you that. So she's like, yeah. And so like, we're always so afraid of like finding something that isn't there. And so like, it was like me, I was afraid of like finding like, you know, feelings for you if you didn't have feelings for me, and of like finding something that wasn't there. And so like, but I veered too hard in the other direction. And I forgot that type 2 error or a false negative is also really bad. And so I lied to you, but like, that's not that important. I lied to you. I made you think that I was in love with someone else. But that's not that important because of the real truth. And that is, I love you in Dutch.
What is it?
I have no idea. Let me see.
I know how to say it in German. Ich liebe dich. It's similar enough. Combine that with English and you got Dutch. There we go.
Let me see. It is Ich hou van ya.
Wow, the audiobook. Okay, either you or the audiobook narrator is like,
I'm going to play it out loud.
Wildly mispronouncing that.
Wait. Ich hou van je. That's how I just pronounced it.
Okay, that's much
Mikau
closer.
Van
I don't
Ye.
want. Don't come for Callie like this. She was too good of an
I'm sure
audiobook
Callie's
narrator.
right. I'm sure Callie's right. That
Yeah.
was just my phonetic pronunciation of Google Translate off the cuff.
Well, if this were German, you could have done a phonetic pronunciation or like Serbian, but unfortunately, I guess Dutch isn't intelligent like that, just like English.
Well, it's more like the writing system was created more recently.
Anyway,
That's the
unimportant.
end of the main book, and then we get a prologue, which is like 9 months
An
later.
epilogue, a
It's
fucking
not,
epilogue, Rachel.
unfortunately, it's not a surprise pregnancy.
Unfortunately, I also would have been satisfied with like Olive is at graduation and then Adam waits a respectful like week after graduation so as not to steal Olive's thunder and proposes to her. I personally, and I feel like this is unarguable, I feel like proposing to people on
Other
big
big
events
events.
in their lives is very selfish of you. And unless they've explicitly said, like, yes, I would like to be proposed to at my 25th birthday party. Like, don't propose to people. Don't propose to people at graduation. Don't propose to people at other people's weddings unless you've gotten explicit permission from the bride. Don't propose to people when they're running a marathon, when they're trying to get a good time. Don't do that. Don't distract people in that way. God.
At the end, usually.
I just don't propose. Yeah, don't propose to people during big events. Don't steal that thunder from them. So that's what I would have liked from the epilogue. Unfortunately, we do not have a proposal. Ali Hazelwood, if you would like to write a second epilogue, like 5 years from now, they maybe have like a child on the way, like they're both doing science, like maybe if they've purchased a mini lab coat like
They've
for
been
their
forced
child to
move back to
wear.
Canada.
Yeah, they're like frying up some moose
They
heart on the
realized
griddle.
how delicious moose heart is. The actual epilogue is 9 months later, and it is Olive.
10 months later.
Yeah, whatever. Sometime later. They've
Well,
had
it's exactly a year after their first kiss.
They've had a lovely soft summer together, gone hiking and canoeing and whatnot. And exactly
went to Joshua
Tree. So Olive is recreating their first kiss in the hallway. And she has like managed to figure it out down to the minute because she ran a Western blot, I guess it's called, right before that. And so she can like see the exact time. And so she's like figured it out. And yeah.
They have a cute little kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it ends.
Yep. Great book.
Meow. Cat scale. All right. I don't know. I don't know whether it was as off the charts as the Princess Switch.
I don't know.
The Princess Switch is pretty unbeatable at the moment.
Here's the thing. I'd like to hope that there was no cats involved in the alleged taxidermy, but like I feel like that's too much to hope.
There was an actual taxidermy, which was very disappointing.
Theoretical taxidermy. We have the big cat. We have the growling. We have the
pupils. We have him
too much
sitting down like a big cat. I would say Adam is very much a cat. I don't think Olive is a dog. I don't know what Olive is.
They're two cats together.
I don't know that she's a cat.
She's a cat.
Maybe. All right. Hear me out. If she's a cat, she's a cheetah who have the personality of dogs. You know? And she runs.
Maybe. She does
runs fast.
So does Adam.
Adam is a Black Panther.
Yeah. Just as an aside, I don't understand why male lions are still allowed to exist. I know it's to like fight off the other male lions. However, I just don't understand how if a pride of females can take down like several wildebeest and have like literally more organized than a soccer team, like different positions and shit. They can't handle one male lion. Apparently they do sometimes. But like I don't understand why that's not like an
male lions exist for like procreation.
Sure, but like why are they allowed to like first of all, the females do the majority of the hunting, but the males eat first, and sometimes they'll like eat the entire wildebeest and then the females have to go hunt again.
The patriarchy, Rachel.
But why
it extends to lions too. I don't know what to tell you.
It's just not logical.
Bring back that's why hyenas and lions are such mortal enemies. Because the hyenas have a matriarchal structure and the lions fear that like the female lions being exposed to feminism.
But it's the female lions that attack the hyenas because they're the ones doing the hunting. So
that's because they've been fucking brainwashed.
Yeah.
They've been brainwashed by the male lions. The patriarchy, Rachel, it affects us all, even the strongest of women.
It just makes no sense. But yeah, back to this book. Anything more to say on the cat scale?
I don't know. Were there any other cat-like characters?
I mean, we have Dr. Aishagul Aslan, also known as Aslan.
That's true. And Aslan, a literal lion.
How is her name actually spelled?
Yeah, I don't know. I listened to the audiobook.
Yeah. It is Aslan. It's spelled like Aslan.
Wow, Aslan. Do you think that was on purpose?
For what purpose? Narnia references?
No. Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe.
Or do you think it was just like, oh, I like that?
I think it just
name.
Sounded cool. God. All right, cat scale.
Wait, I need to think. Oh, okay. Oh, I think we started out, first of all, way too high with some of these with some of the earlier books. Because like this one, like really is much higher than the other ones, though not as high as Princess Switch 3.
I don't know. It's pretty high for me.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 8.
10.
Why do you always go after me? Why do you always hesitate?
You went after me last time. I approve. Anyway, okay, I'm going all in.
Composite score of 9.
Yes.
For the Love Hypothesis.
Indeed.
Well done.
Nice. Nice.
Send us your best Maine Coon pictures for this. Please. Like, please. Or just like at any point, not even just for this episode.
You could do a big cat. You could do like
a panther.
A panther. Or like, what are those like big, like a Senegal or something? Nah, it's too lanky, but yeah.
If I'm going like big wildcat, it's got to be like
the bobcat with like the fuzzy ears.
No.
So Allison, where can they find us?
Well, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at We Read It One Night. You can find us on Twitter at We Read It Podcast, and you can find us on Facebook at We Read It One Night. And you can send us a handy dandy email. We read it one night at gmail.com. And send us your favorite science experiments. Any fun things you did. We will accept volcanoes. We will accept potato clocks. We will accept bridges made out of balsa wood. Rockets as well.
And also follow, rate, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you leave us a review and say a book that you want us to do, we will add it to our spreadsheet for future consumption.
Yeah. Godspeed, comrades.